I'm going to show you today two research papers pre-Bitcoin from 2004 and 2008 with two of the three Japanese researchers' names on it and how it all ties into Bitcoin. Let's jump into it. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is the one from 2004 with Toshiaki Tanaka and Shinsaku Kiyomoto on it. So this one is semi-related, but the next one I'm about to show you after this is highly related. So this one talks about implementation and evaluation of a micropayment system for mobile environments. So I went through this whole document and I came up with a summary of what it talks about. So what it talks about is it introduces micropayment systems. It talks about decentralization of the currency, but it uses something a little bit different than Bitcoin. So it uses MAC addresses instead of digital signatures. So we're going to jump into the key points right now. Okay, so the first part talks about an introduction to micropayment systems. So this is how it relates to Bitcoin, where it wants to do peer-to-peer transactions, eliminating the middleman and go through a decentralized network. So that's the first part of this, what it talked about wanting to achieve. The second part, and this was the key aha moment that I figured out, where it was talking about preventing double spending, a key feature that Bitcoin solved. So Bitcoin uses blockchain to prevent double spending, whereas a digital coin could be used more than once. So the document highlights lightweight methods for ensuring unique transaction, and it emphasizes the importance of secure systems in digital currency. So this is kind of like a pregame to what Bitcoin set out to achieve. So this PDF, it also emphasized having real-time transactions and validations with efficient verification methods. So this is also related to how Bitcoin uses miners to validate transactions on the blockchain. So this allows for secure, timely processing of transactions on a decentralized network. All right, the fourth part it talked about was cryptographic techniques. So this is what the difference was between what Bitcoin uses and what this set out to achieve. So this uses MACs for transaction security, where Bitcoin uses digital signatures. So they were on the right path, but they used MAC instead of, I guess the abbreviation is ECDSA. So both, though, they rely on cryptographic methods to ensure that transactions are authenticated and, most importantly, they can't be tampered with. So this is another key part of this document. So what the hell is MAC versus digital signatures? Well, we're going to jump into it. So MACs require a shared key between the sender and the receiver, and it limits their use in a decentralized environment. So Bitcoin has a public key and a private key, and the pair enables one to verify the transactions and makes it suitable for open networks. So this is where it didn't quite get there with what Bitcoin achieved, but it was on the right track pretty much. It was on the right track. It just needed a different kind of signature to use to validate transactions. So this document was in 2004, by the way, so keep that in mind. So both this research paper and Bitcoin, it emphasized decentralization. So that's the main part of how this research paper was like, wow, wait a second, this came out in 2004. It's like, wow. So it mentioned decentralized data management and transaction. The security mirrors the Bitcoin's core design of eliminating intermediaries for more transparent and secure payments. So that's another tinfoil hat aha moment. Boom. All right, so we're going to talk about the conclusion of this right now. So both highlight cryptographic techniques and transactions for validation and keeping it anonymous. So Bitcoin leverages these techniques for a more secure peer-to-peer financial exchanges, and it ensures privacy and integrity, much like the approaches outlined in the document from 2004. So this comparison demonstrates the fundamental similarities between the Bitcoin white paper and this paper that was produced by the same two researchers that I made my previous video on. back in 2008 versus 2004. So this is like a key paper that could be involved in, how Bitcoin came about. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to see what other research papers that these people were on, and I found an even better one right now that I'm about to show you. So they were together on several papers, and I also wanted to see if Satoshi Hada was on there. So all three of them had research papers, not like one had research papers with another guy, and then the other guy had but they were never on the same research papers together, which was Satoshi Hada, Tanaka, and Uramoto. I'm not Uramoto, Kiyomoto. So all of those were in the same field, but they never had a paper together. But Tanaka and Kiyomoto had an even better paper that came out 2 months before Bitcoin in 2008. So this paper that they put out was made in September 2008, and Bitcoin's white paper came out in December 2008. So let's jump into that right now. So look what I did with the names too. Toshi Nakamoto. I highlighted it. Okay. So they have a paper that came out in 2008, like I said, 2 months before the Bitcoin white paper. And this talked about a new KN threshold secret sharing scheme and its extension. So what this does is it introduces a method for secure and efficient data sharing, a concept that could be applied to blockchain technology. So what the hell does this paper talk about? I'm going to give you a summary. I'm going to show you the paper, the introduction, and then I'm just going to summarize it with kind of like I did with the other one. So this paper, it talked about distributed security, like Bitcoin uses a decentralized network where no single node controls the whole ledger. So the threshold scheme that they distribute secret information among multiple participants. So both systems, security is achieved by ensuring that no participant has access to the full information without collaboration. So in Bitcoin, the consensus mechanism in the threshold scheme is recovering the secret. So then it focused on efficiency and speed. So this document, it talked about operations like XOR to distribute. I don't know what XOR is, just a disclaimer. To distribute and recover secret shares, which emphasizes efficiency and speed. So how does this tie into Bitcoin? It mirrors the Bitcoin's efforts to streamline cryptographic processes such as digital signatures to make the network scalable and ensure faster transaction validation. It talked about fault tolerance and redundancy. So in this scheme, only a subset K participants is needed to recover the secret. Similarly, in blockchain, even if some nodes fail or behave maliciously, the network can still validate transactions through a majority consensus. So this pretty much like it helped develop what the blockchain is today. The techniques in this, it contributed to how Bitcoin runs pretty much. Like it shows how you need nodes to run, and even if some are bad, it relies on a consensus. So that's the key part of this paper, talking about how the blockchain works. So the last part that this paper talked about was privacy. So both want to prioritize the protection of sensitive information. So the secret sharing scheme ensures that the participants who don't meet the threshold can't recover the secret, like Bitcoin's public and private key system and how that works. So the private keys are yours, the public keys are the address. So you need both to work, and the private keys should never be shared, and you need that to unlock your Bitcoin. So this ensures that you could have authorize a transaction. So in summary, these elements show how cryptographic principles in the threshold scheme align with Bitcoin's core function of decentralization, efficiency, and security. So this is like extremely strange that this came out 2 months before the Bitcoin white paper. And I don't know why this wasn't, again, like my thing with all of this is why weren't these researchers listed as references? So that's my whole thing with this. Like, I'm not saying that, they are Satoshi or not. I'm just saying that, it could be anybody. Like, this research definitely predates Bitcoin, and it definitely was used in helping developed the system of what it is today. So that was my whole point with this. So we're going to look at some other stuff right now. So I wanted to so let me put this in a better angle. Okay. Let me see if I could blow this up. So my thing with this was like, okay, so they did the research papers together, and I wanted to know how many research papers were they on together. So I made a little graph. So they were on, I think, four research papers. The four research papers that they were on, it stopped in 2008, and they weren't on a research paper again until 2024. So from 2028 to 2024, they were never on a research papers together. So that's like a big time gap. And so they're this is Tanaka Toshiaki. So it's so strange that, in 2024 they came up with a research paper that was presented, linkage between CVE and attack with public information. I didn't really look into that one yet, but I think it's, kind of fits the timeline where, they did a lot of research up until 2008, and all their methods were implied in making Bitcoin. So the whole thing with this is like, either somebody took this information, combined the names, came up with, the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, and pretty much ran with it. So the question is, who could it be? Nobody's gonna probably ever figure that out. But I just wanted to point out that these research papers probably have key information in how Bitcoin was developed. So thanks for watching this video, guys. If you have any more, information, comments, because somebody actually made a comment the other day on a research on one of these papers that somebody actually made a video on a few years ago. So that's how I did my own research, and I found other papers and additional papers that pretty much look pretty good. And, it's like Bitcoin history, like all this led up to the development of Bitcoin. So that's where I was going with this. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, research, if you want me to look at anything that's kind of similar to this, I would love to look at it. All right, take care. Peace.